Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to Naho Blessed Fashion. If today is your first time here, you are highly welcome. Please do well to join this family. Today we are going to be making this mermaid skirt. As you can see, this is it on my mannequin and this is it on my beautiful client. You guys, Precious have a good heart. She is always ready to send me pictures for my YouTube channel. Can your client ever? Sorry guys, I didn't make tutorial on the corset, but I'll sure drop a corset tutorial in this channel very soon. So my fabric is folded into two. As you can see, I'm going to create a straight line here, and this will serve as the waistline. I'm using this bridal satin to line the skirt. It's serving as my lining, so I'll just cut it out from here before I transfer it on the main fabric. So I'll mark my waist to hip, which is 9 inches. Then waist to knee, you can just adjust the tape. I will adjust the tape to the half length, which is 16 inches. So I place 16 inches on the waistline, okay, to get the knee measurements. The knee is 40. From shoulder to knee is 40. I'll go up by 3 inches. So I marked 37. If you're not using a stretchy fabric, you want to go up by 3 or even 4 inches from your knee so that your client will be able to walk freely, okay? So don't use your exact knee measurement. So for the full length is 60 inches. From shoulder to the full length is 60. I'm going to add extra 5 inches to the full length. So I first marked 60 inches and now I'll add extra 5 inches. This depends on how long you want the skirt to be in the front, okay? This is the front pattern we are cutting. We are cutting the front skirt. When we are done, we are going to use the front to cut the back, okay? So I'm just creating a straight line on the point and marks. So my waist, my hip, my knee, and the full length. Okay? So at the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist measurement divide by 4. The waist circumference divide by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so you can use 1 inch for your sewing allowance. For me, I'm using 1.5 inch. At the hip line, I'll mark the hip circumference divide by 4. The round hip divide by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'll take note of what I have at the hip line. So I have 11 inches. I'm going to minus 2 inches and mark it on the knee line. So I'm using 9 on the knee line and I have 11 inches on the hip line. So just minus 2 inches or minus 2.5 inches, depend on how tight you want it to be around the knee. Again, what I have at the hip line, I'm going to add extra 5.5 inches and mark it at the full length of the skirt. I'm adding extra 5.5 inches. You can make it 6 inches. You can decide to even make it up to 8 inches, depend on how wide you want it to be at the down part, okay? So I'm adding 5.5 inches. As you can see, I don't have enough fabric. So I'm adding 5.5 inches to the hip measurement. That's what I marked at the full length. You can make it wider, but I don't think you should go smaller because you really want it to be free at the down part, okay? At the hip line, I'll come up by 1/2 inch and I'll go down by 1/2 inch. This is just to eliminate this sharp effect. I just don't want it to be too sharp. This is optional, okay? I'll connect the waist to that 1/2 inch. I come up at the hip line. I just don't want to have a sharp point. This is optional, trust me. And then from the second 1/2 inch I came down with from the hip, I'm going to connect it to the knee. Okay, just like this. You can blend this place. You don't have to mark those 1/2 inch. Okay, so from the knee now, I'm going to connect it all the way to the hem of the skirt, all the way to the full length, okay, to the knee. And this is what we have. I'm going to come up by 1 inches here. You can make it 1.5 inch and then blend it. We just don't want that place to be too sharp, okay? You blend it just like this. All right, We are actually done with the front piece. We'll cut it out and use it to cut the back piece. I'll come down by 1/2 inches on my front piece, just the front piece. The back piece is not going to have this, okay? I'll come down by 1/2 inches at the center front and connect it to the sides just like this. This is optional and it's only for the front piece, okay? Please guys, help me like this video, okay? Give it a thumbs up and drop a comment. Thank you and God bless you. I'll pin it down, then use it to cut the back piece. So I fold another fabric into 2. This one must be wider, okay? And I'll place the front piece on it just like this. We are cutting the back piece now. So I'll make sure I have extra 14 inches. It's going to be wider than the front with 14 inches. So you place it having 14 inches extra at the back. And at the down part, I have 9 inches. Okay, I'm taking note of the fabric I have and at the same time what my client wants. My client doesn't want it too big like that, okay? If you want yours wider and longer, make it wider and make it longer, okay? You can always join the fabric, okay? You can stitch more fabric to it if you're short of fabric. So at the waistline, I'm going to mark my zipper allowance. I will be making use of 1 inch at the waistline. At the hip line, I'll make use of 1 1/4 inch. I'll mark 1.25 at the hip line. At the waistline, like I said, I have 1 inch. 1.25 at the hip line, and then 1 inch at the knee line. So I just wanted to give the boot more room at the hip area, okay? That's what I did there. You can actually make it 1 inch all the way. This is optional. Okay, make sure you blend it nicely. Blend it to your knee line. You can make use of 1 inch all the way. From the knee, I'm going to connect it straight to the width of the back, the 14 inches we added. Like I said, you can make yours wider. So I'm just connect it to the 14 inches at the end, and then with a curve I will connect it to meet the side of the front piece. You can do freehand here. Just connect it. So this is what I have. As you can see, make sure they align at the side. That's where they are going to meet, okay? That's the side. We are going to be having our online courses very soon. I am just so busy right now. I really want to do this. People have been asking me if I have online classes, but I have been so busy. Trust me guys, I'm going to find time to make tutorials for my online classes. They are different tutorials, not like this. Like, it's very detailed, the sewing, the everything. It's going to be like a live something, so I want to take my time and do it. This is what we have. This is our front piece on fold and our 2 back piece. Okay, we are going to cut out all the pieces on our main fabric. All right, I'm using a sequence fabric. So this is the front piece. When you open it, you know it's on fold. When you open it, this is what you have in the front. I'll use it to cut out the back piece. So guys, I've cut out the main fabric for each of the pieces. So this is one side of the back piece. This is one of the back piece. You know we have two back piece, right? So I'll place it right side facing and stitch it with 1/2 inch, just the down part. We want to turn the down part, okay? So you place your fabric right side facing your lining or your bridal satin, anyone you are using, pin it down and stitch it with half of an inch, 0.5. You stitch it and then you turn it to the right side and iron. I'll do the same thing to the second back piece and the same thing to the front piece. This is the front piece. Right side facing up, and then you get your lining, the wrong side of the lining is facing the fabric, while the right side of the fabric is facing the lining, except you don't want the shiny part of the bridal satin. So pin it down and stitch it with the same half inch. The same thing to all the pieces. So this is what I have. This is the front piece. I've stitched it down and I turn it to the right side and iron. This is the back piece. The two back pieces, I did the same thing, okay? So stitch it down with half of an inch and turn it to the right side, then you press it down. This is what we have. I'm just going to adjust the fabric and the lining. And then I'll bring the second piece of the back piece. This is one of the back piece. I'll bring the second back piece now. And then place them right side facing right side. I also pin down the lining and the fabric of the second piece. Pin them down together. So placing them now right side facing each other. We are not going to touch the side. This is the side. We are only going to work on the center back. So I'm going to pin my zipper side. Our zipper is going to stop at 1 inch below the hip line. Okay, 1 inch below the hip line. You can make it 1.5 inch. You can also make use of your exact hip line. So I'm just going to pin it down. We are going to pin it down and then we'll start our stitching from where the zip is going to stop. That's where you're going to start your stitch all the way down with the 1 inch zipper allowance we left. So I just pin it down. As you can see, I'm going to stitch it with the 1 inch allowance and stop where the zipper is going to stop. So I've stitched it down like I explained, and this is what I have. This is our two back piece joined together. I notch the new line. Make sure you notch it so that it will be free like this, okay? So I left the zipper allowance. I'll bring the front piece and place it right side facing right side with the back piece. Right side facing right side. And then I will adjust them. We are going to join them together at the two sides. Okay? You can go ahead and pin them down first before you stitch with your sewing allowance. They are not going to align, they are not the same size, so you have to adjust them at the ends. Okay, bring them together and then you stitch them with your sewing allowance. You do the same thing to the second side. Bring the two ends together and stitch it down. Go ahead and notch the new line. I've stitched it down like I explained, so I want to notch the new line. Make sure you do this. When you turn it to the right side, this is what you should have. You can go ahead and give it a good press. I don't have light at the moment, so I would like to finish everything before I on the gem. So for the band, I cut out 4 inches width of band and the length is her round waist measurement plus 3 inches. Okay, just leave the excess there. You're going to cut it out if you don't want it. Okay, I'm just going to gum the fabric and the lining just to keep it in place, because this fabric want to fight me. I'll get the waist of my skirt and then place it right side facing, just like this. I'm supposed to fold it into 2, but I don't have light at the moment, so I'm just going to place one side before I bring the second side. Okay, just watch carefully. This is because I didn't fold it. So I'm pinning it down, starting from the center back, pin it down all the way, right side facing right side. Once I'm done, I'm going to bring the second end. I'll bring the second end just like this, fold it, remove the pins. Once I fold it, I'll remove the pin in that point, and then this time pin the 3 of them together. So you bring the other end, remove the pin, and pin the 3 of them together all the way to the end. And this is what I have. I'll stitch them down with 1/2 inch. Okay, and then cut out the excess. So this is what I have. I've stitched them down like I explained with 1/2 inch. The next thing is to attach the zipper. You want to turn it to the wrong side. Place your zipper and attach it with the sewing allowance. I have a tutorial on how to attach your zipper. Okay, basically that is it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you all. I'll see you all in my next video. Stay blessed.